Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's that time of year again, everybody's favorite time of year. Opening day is actually tomorrow. We're doing this the night before. The power rankings, again, everyone's favorite videos on this channel, power rankings. Starting from the bottom, we're going to work our way to the top. This is just based on how I think teams are looking heading into day one of the season. First being my favorite to win the World Series, maybe the top two rows, playoff teams, contenders in the middle row, bottom row, pretenders / rebuild. Well, if you've been here before, you know we like to rip through these. So, starting at number 30, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think that's 3 years in a row that they're starting at the bottom. What can you say? They're just not pulling it off for us lately, and they didn't have an off season. They don't really have any names for them. They don't have any pitching. Division, probably the weakest division there is, but they're just not going anywhere. Number 29, the Cincinnati Reds. They pretty much spent the offseason trading away any talent they had, trying to get something in return. Castillo's going to be out for the first beginning of the season, but not a whole lot of promise again in a weak division with the Pirates, but the Pirates very well could pass them this season. Number 28, we got the Oakland A's, another team that kind of just sold off this season. After really pushing for the playoffs last year, falling a little bit short, they decided it's rebuild time. They trade off Chapman, Olsen's gone. They have pretty much just the rotation. They didn't manage to keep Marte going. So it's just prospects and rebuild time again for the A's. Expected to be the bottom of the AL West. Next up, Arizona Diamondbacks, another team that last year we dealt with them a lot of losing streaks. They had some times in the bottom of the power rankings, and they haven't made a lot of progress in terms of what we expect to see there on the field. And again, they're in a division that was the best in baseball last season. Might help them against the teams outside, but still one of the better teams in baseball, or divisions. 26, the Baltimore Orioles, another team that flirted with the bottom a bunch last year. But this coming up season, they're going to hopefully take a little bit of a step forward as a team. We probably don't expect them to put up too much of a splash in the division, AL East powerhouse division. Everyone's picking the Orioles to finish last. I'm going to be one of them, unfortunately. We're going to see Cedric Mullins can really continue his streak. That's pretty much, I guess, what O's fans are most looking forward to, whether some of these younger guys continue to make strides forward. Mountcastle, they got the Rutschman prospect at catcher that they're going to be looking forward to as well. Number 25, we got the Kansas City Royals. Don't really know what to do with the Royals right now. They're not really a team that looks like they're trying to make a splash, take some forwards. They're also not selling. They're kind of just staying middle of the pack. But in this day and age, to me, in a division that other teams made progress, they're not making any. And they're really a team that I don't expect to make a push for the playoffs at all. Whit Merrifield, every season we talk about whether he's going to be with the Royals next year. So it's another season of basically dealing with that. Number 24, with the Washington Nationals. Been a pretty fall from grace from when they won the World Series a couple years back. Losing a lot of players. Harper's gone now, Rendon's gone now. We got Scherzer, who left last year, Trey Turner. So all the names are pretty much out, and it's going to be Juan Soto and crew trying to make a new name for the Nationals. But probably don't expect them to contend for the playoffs, although they might have the best player in baseball in Juan Soto. Number 23, we got the Rockies. Made a little bit. They made a huge signing with Chris Bryant, who knows what he might be capable of. They didn't want to pay the money to Arenado a couple of years ago, but instead bring Bryant. So really, not a lot of progress. Little bit of progress from last year. They always have that Coors home field advantage, so I do put them on a little bit ahead. They're going to be a nuisance for teams in the West and teams outside of the West. So it'll be interesting to see. Top of their rotation's normally pretty solid, but falls off pretty quick, and we all know how games at Coors tend to go. Number 22, we got the Detroit Tigers, a team that kind of middled their way, and they were trending up by the end of last season. I don't really have a lot of hope for them at this point. They're still, in my opinion, 500 at best kind of ball club. The American League is quite stacked, and they have to make a lot of progress. I don't know if they have the pitching just yet. A lot of young talent in the pitching that we might see this year come forward and might make some crazy steps forward. But for now, I have them battling a lot with this team. We got the Cleveland Guardians. We'll put them upside down for me to know. Do you know they're the Guardians? I don't have an updated sticker, so I'll hopefully have that for next video. But I did want to get this out. So Cleveland Guardians, Detroit, they're going to be a pretty interchangeable team this season. What can you do? The offense for the Cleveland, that's where I'm worried. The pitching, I definitely think they're top 10 team in the league, definitely in pitching. But I do not know where this team's going to score runs this season. Number 20, we got Chicago Cubs. A team that had a pretty busy trade deadline last year to make sure that their rebuild doesn't take as long. And I think they pulled it off, bringing in a lot of talent. They bring in some depth as well. They don't really have a team that's going to push for playoffs as far as I can see. But a lot of their young guys are going to get an opportunity. And they still have some staples like Hayward still. He's pretty much cemented in that number 6 spot. Number 19, we have Texas Rangers, who made some big moves this offseason. And they were the second most team to spend in the offseason money. So with the Texas Rangers, so like that was a big step. They brought in Semien for a huge deal. They got Corey Seager for a huge deal. The pitching, probably not there yet. Depth as well for Texas. But they're heading in the right direction. It looks like they're ready to spend some money. So they're trending up heading into the season. Because I'm pretty sure last season we saw them in bottom row pretty much the whole time. Number 18. We got the Miami Marlins team that they're pretty much status quo. They're like as average to me as you can really find. Pitching maybe a little bit above average, bats a little bit below average, but intertwined to get in there. They're in a division where pitching is not a strength, so they might have the best rotation and pitching in the division, which could pose well. However, they might have the weakest offense in the division, so it's gonna be interesting. They're gonna be like great snack to have in the middle, as far as I can see. Number 17, team that really, for a lot of people, should rank higher. They have Ohtani, they have Trout. Come on. But they just haven't shown the consistency that I want to see year after year. And until they do it this year, I'm not going to put them up high until they really show this team has taken a step forward. They're a playoff team. Until they show me that, I'm going to have them right in the middle, fighting for playoff spot, but not in one at this point. Number 16, we got the Padres. Going into last season, there was a lot of hype. They had a great start. It fell apart down the stretch, and right now, that same kind of mentality and roster to me is still there. They're apparently in the hunt for Ramirez, but we'll see if they land him. They're a middle-of-the-pack team and in a division that's very, very competitive. It's going to be interesting how they play out. Same with this team. Number 15, we got San Francisco Giants. We saw them number 1 a bunch last year. We saw them in the top row like almost the entire second half of the season. But the Giants, a lot of people are going to say they performed above expectations. I would agree. They proved it time and time again, but they lost Gosman. So it's a big part of what their rotation was about. Whether they can consistently do it going forward, I'm not sure. It just doesn't seem like on paper as strong of a team as it was last year. But again, doubted them for the first while last year too, so they showed me wrong. Number 14, Tampa Bay Rays, another one of those teams that I have them falling back a little bit from their highs last year. The Rays just a lot of moves and additions in the division, whereas they just didn't keep up. They're still missing Glass now as a pitcher. The rotation isn't as strong as we've seen in the past. A lot of injury issues or people just not showing that they have what it takes to be top pitching. But the offense is there, and it's definitely what's going to keep them going in this one. No, in the comments I'm going to get they're too low. Very well could be, and it's probably the same bias that always happens to me every season at the beginning with the Rays until they force me to put them higher. Number 13, we got the Philadelphia Phillies. Another team very similar to the Angels that have had expectations to be higher each and every season, just fallen flat and kind of ended in this. The Angels, for the most part, fall, but the Phillies, they, again, trying to make moves to make this team better, bringing in more batting power. It's the pitching, though, that we really aren't sure about. Will Zach Wheeler be the same as last year? I hope so. We'd like to see it. But the depth, Nola, Eflin, those guys, I don't know if they can pull the weight, but they definitely have the bats in a division where pitching is weak, so I think the bats could really help them go far. Number 12, We have the Seattle Mariners, and this is a team that really proved themselves last year to me. They're young, talented, and they're only getting more talented as their younger prospects mature. They have some of the best prospects in the league coming up probably by May for this team. And if Kellenic can take some steps forward, this team's offense is going to be very good. And they're young, talented. I think they are a team that's heading in the right direction for sure. I expect them to be right there in the hunt for the playoffs. Number 11, same kind of boat. We got the Boston Red Sox, more consistently been in the hunt for a longer period of time, more veteran lineup. The pitching a little bit questionable right now because we're missing Sale heading into the season. I lost Rodriguez, who ate up a ton of innings for them. So the depth in pitching for Boston is the big question mark. And again, in a tough division and where the Yankees and the Jays made some big moves. Number 10, we got the St. Louis Cardinals. This is one of the hottest teams last year going down the stretch. They just had to play that wild card match against the Dodgers, and it's one winner take all, and they lost 3-1. Had they won that game, they very well could have made a run at the playoffs because they were the hottest team in September, August, and this division is very weak, so it's wide open for the Cardinals to make a push for the playoffs again this season. They didn't really address the issues of their pitching though, which has me concerned because Flaherty is now out for who knows how long, and so their depth is a lot more shot. Plus, Albert Pujols back in town for them. Number 9, we got the Twins after a disastrous season last year. I do have them making a run at the playoffs this year, 9th in the overall league. Just think they're healthier. If their team can stay healthy, that's the biggest issue with them last year. But they're in a division where they can pick up some wins against the Royals, Tigers, and Guardians along the way. So I like it. Number 8, we got New York Mets. Another team, back-to-back teams here that are just disappointed with the way the season went last year. But the Mets were not quiet in the offseason. And, of course, they brought in some more firepower. We're going to see if it pays off for them. I really think they're going to be in this division. This NL, both Easts are very strong. The NL East, we have Phillies, Mets, and it's going to be the Braves, the reigning champs. It's going to be interesting who can pull it off. Number 7, the Milwaukee Brewers is the top team in the NL Central. I do think it's the weakest division. The concern for me for the Brewers is whether Yelich can really take a step back into MVP mode. They got 2 top pitchers. The depth, again, not sure. It's going to probably be easy for them to make the playoffs given their division as long as they avoid injuries. They do have the depth more than some of these other teams in the talent, for sure. Number 6, the New York Yankees. The Yankees are just going to Yankee. They're going to spend their money. They're going to add Rizzo. They're going to have Judge. They're going to have Stanton. They're going to have the power. They're going to have Garrett Cole. They're just that same kind of team. They're going to be right in there, and there's no reason for them really not to. They have the payroll. They're going to go after it every season. And Yankees right now, strong contenders to win the AL East, and I have them there. Number 5, the Chicago White Sox. I like what they've done. They did lose Rondon in their rotation, but other than him, they basically bringing back a lot of the same team as last year. They have the depth in the outfield, and they can really afford to test some of these guys in the depth in the lower part of the lineup. And the top of their lineup is solid with Abreu really being the anchor. The division for me, it's theirs to lose, and that's part of why I have them in the top row because I think the division is pretty much theirs. Number 4, just making crazy moves this offseason. We have the Jays. It's the highest we've ever had the Jays on in this power ranking. Just to tell you, they gotta love it as a Jays fan what this team's gonna bring. And having Springer in there from the start of the season until the end is gonna be a big difference because he's very capable of being MVP based on his numbers last year. We got Vladdy coming back. He's hopefully expected better than ever. Bichette, all these young guys have another year under their belt. The only downside, they lost Robbie Ray, but they tried to address that. They brought in Kikuchi, they brought in Gosman, they tried to add depth. Really, they have 6 potential starters, maybe 7 if you count Pearson. It's a really deep lineup, and they're even in talks to get Jose Ramirez from the Guardians. So if they pull that off, that's just insane. It's right now favored in Vegas to win the American League. A lot of positive. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, so I'm going to keep them at number 4. Number 3, we have the ex-World Series champions, the Atlanta Braves. Big thing here, of course, is they won the World Series, so that's going to give them a boost already. But they are a lot of the same team coming back again. Of course, the big asterisk to that, Freddie Freeman out but Matt Olson who's still a lefty first baseman that smashes. So very well could fit in very well in that lineup. They might not even miss a beat. So Braves are right there up top, expected to win that division, expected to compete. I know last year's regular season record wasn't the best, but they turned on when it mattered, and I have a lot of faith in Alex Antropoulos. Number 2, the team Braves faced against, we have Houston Astros. I just think it's hard. I was thinking the Jays higher, but to me, the Jays have never really been able to beat Houston. And until I see that and that they're capable of that, I'm going to keep them below Houston, honestly. Houston's always had their number, and to beat the best teams, you have to be up there and beat that. So until the Jays do that, they're probably going to stay. This is a high note for the Jays. And the Stros, they have everything to prove. Like, they're just that team that everyone keeps doubting. They keep winning solid year after year. They lost Correa, but it's a lot of proof in the pudding to these guys that they are going to pull it off. Number 1, it's a pretty big cop-out, but it's so hard to argue that it's not the Dodgers. They have some of the best players in the league. They have the best pitchers in the league. They signed probably the biggest free agent, Freddie Freeman, to come play there. Like, the team is just an all-around all-star team. And if it wasn't for last year's wildcard match, who knows how that team would have ended. But they probably should have had a shot at the World Series last year, but they'll definitely have it again. But there you go, guys. For the season power rankings in the books. Let me know what you guys think. I know very likely you're going to disagree with everything. So let me know what you guys disagree with. Who would you have in your top 5? Who would you have in your top 10? And et cetera, et cetera. Guys, we're going to do these every Sunday, so make sure you subscribe, like, smash, all that fun stuff. We'll see you guys out there for that next video. Thanks for watching.